A very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to our Ask Me Anything session for the Smart Pod Challenge 2022. My name is Shireen and this is Jolene, and we will be hosting today's session. In case you're not familiar with SPC, is the flagship event of Pier 71, which also stands for Pod Innovation Ecosystem Reimagine at Block 71, a program co-founded by MPA and NUS Enterprise. This year, we have 15 innovation opportunities championed and supported by 22 maritime corporates and organizations. For this session, corporates have answers to your questions, and I will be reading out the answers that you have been waiting for. The challenge statement is, how might we better manage crew and vessel certification to improve operational efficiencies and thereby drive safety and welfare? And it is co-created by BP and Shipowners, and it's co-created by BP and Shipowners P&I Mutual Associations and supported by corporate sponsor Victory. Before we dive into the answers, let's have a look at the very short video that will give a quick overview of what this innovation opportunity is.
Each vessel and crew member requires multiple certificates, many of which are statutory and regulatory documents that are mandatory for the vessel arrival or crew sign-on and sign-off. Paper documents are prone to getting lost or misplaced. Replacing them not only costs time and money, it also causes delays in port clearances, crew change, and vessel turnaround times. This has significant impact on the operational efficiency. Managing the huge amount of paperwork on top of their growing responsibilities also adds mental stress on the crew. As an industry, we need a digital solution that will ease the strain of managing paper documentation. Adoption at a broader level is key. It also has to be cyber secure, comply with data protection requirements, easily utilized by crew, vessel owners, and operators, port authority, customs, and other stakeholders, and provide an efficient means to verify and authenticate these certificates.
Okay, so first off, maybe let's try to understand the way things are currently being done. So maybe could you first walk me through and help me understand the challenges involved in this?
Well, so for every voyage, crews are required to fill in several reports that comply with policies, practices, and procedures that make up a vessel safety management system. The sheer volume of maritime regulations and compliance forms, both internal and external, can create hours of paperwork for crews and shoreside personnel alike, thereby making the documentation process complex, time-consuming, and costly. But of course, then again, it is very important that reports have to be done to provide an audit trail of safety and compliance documentation for customers and authorities. It's just that it can be a challenge to consolidate all relevant reports in one central place and ensure that it is always up to date. So at the moment, the crew have various systems for tracking data and storing documents, which can complicate both tracking and reporting. All these can cause the crew to spend significant time and effort gathering the information needed, be it for analysis or to show to authorities during port clearances. So having said that, the short answer to your question on the challenges involved would be acceptability, ease of use, and being cost effective.
So we actually talked broadly about challenges that the seafarers face when it comes to documentation. So maybe you could share a bit more about the shipping documents.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that you need to note. First is the various categories of certificates and documents that are required to be carried on board ships. So there's the regulatory, or in other words, statutory certificates. So these include things like MAPO, SOLAS, classification, ship registry, tonnage, load line, various certifications. And the second thing next is depending on what type of ship it is. So let's say if you are a cargo ship, you need to have the various documents relating to the cargo, and all these include certifications relating to the cargo ship construction, ship safety, cargo info, compliance to the type of cargo that you are actually carrying, and also other info like crude oil washing, crude oil discharge. So likewise, if you are a gas carrier or even a high-speed craft or chemical tanker vessel, you need to bring on board all these kind of relevant certification. Yeah. So and also after talking about the two types of certification, we have also the third type, which is the documentations relating to the crew. And these include things, for example, like their own licenses, their training records. And so to summarize, shipping documents are forms, records, or certificates needed for the delivery of a shipment or to clear customs. Yeah. So next question for Jalene. Yeah. At what point do crew members need to show their physical certification, and to who? Let's say if a crew member actually loses or misplaces the required certification, how long would it actually take to get a replacement? Also, how much time and cost are we looking at? That let's say if we were to have a solution, and so how much savings are we expected to have? And lastly, what other opportunities that solution provider could have while implementing the solution?
So as what was previously shared, so the crew documentation refers to certificates relating to the crew's training as well as licenses. Physical certifications are needed to be by the crew member, and this would be need to be shown to various authorities such as immigration, the port of joining, shipmasters, port sales control, which also stands for PSC authorities, internal, external auditors, inspections, as well as also at various training institutes where the crew members go to upgrade their certification and skill sets. So in regards to the time and cost for obtaining a replacement certification, this will actually vary between each country, and it can possibly range from weeks to months. And it also should be bear in mind that the issuance of such certificates is an official governmental job. If this is possible, to roll this out for sea staff and vessel certification. And since the solution would be pertaining to the digitalization of certification, other opportunities that the solution provider can then tap into would be the commercial or official documents, such as bills of lading, saving them paper, and also have a positive impact on the environment as well.
In this case, so would the solution actually include the digitalization of physical certificates and documents? Could you actually share a bit more about what the digitalization encompasses? And also, there are also digital versions of certificates that can be viewed through phones, but currently are not consolidated on a platform. So let's say like we're talking about instances where people have all these digital documents being saved onto their devices and show them where needed. So could you share a bit more on that?
Okay. So actually, to begin with, all crew and vessel certifications are officially being maintained and accepted in a physical format. Some companies as well as individual seafarers have begun to digitize their certificates. However, this just pertains to the physical certificate being scanned and saved as a copy only as a backup. So in the majority of cases, such scanned copies are usually not considered to be official documents. So in addition, to ensure that the digitalization of certificates, such as those that can be used for official documents, this will need to be verified, similar to how the COVID-19 vaccination certificates are being digitally recognized. Therefore, veracity and acceptance is the biggest hurdle. Actually, so BP has enabled their seafarers to be able to cite their certificates with a touch of the phone, so they can use it through their phone. So however, this is not very commonly widespread throughout the industry as of yet. So similarly, some flag states have also started issuing these statutory certificates digitally. Yeah, so I got a question for you after answering a couple. So what are some of the existing solutions that BP or Shipowners Mutual P&I Association has previously tried out, and what are some of the gaps in those solutions? Will it be possible to share with us some of these gaps so that our solution providers can, avoid them and create a great solution for our corporates?
So in terms of successful digitalization, we will require focused technology management, ensuring system and interoperability. So in fact, for BP, they have actually tried once, but it did not really take off. So, but of course, having said that, they have not given up and they're trying again and pending results. So right now, the biggest gap, or rather bottleneck, is actually adaptability. Then comes the cost as well as the ease of use. Yeah. Hope that answers.
Okay, more questions for you. So are there existing infrastructure in place to support the usage of digital solution or a platform on board these vessels? And if yes, what are some of the existing infrastructure given that, all vessels are different?
So right now, we are making references to because right now, for some context, is that we are making reference to a digital solution. So sorry. So the infrastructure that would be required on board would be more digital in nature, and not say a physical infrastructure. So while we have asked for the solution to be able to work offline, in most scenarios, the certificates for the crew or for the vessel, as mentioned earlier on, is that they need to be produced when the vessel is in port. Hence, access to the internet should not be an issue. And of course, having mentioned that some flags are actually moving towards digital certification, worldwide acceptability will definitely be one of the first major bottleneck that we kind of foresee. Yep.
Thanks for sharing. So actually, given that the solution should also provide efficient means for certificate authentication, why do existing certificate verification applications not work well in this context?
So until digital certification is accepted at a broader scale, at least for regionally to start with, the success would normally be hindered. So we are looking for a complete digital solution rather than a hybrid solution where certificates are maintained digitally as well as physically.
Thanks for sharing. So I think maybe we can move on to some questions relating to the solution. So one question would be, what would make a solution ideal? What are some of the metrics for success of a solution? And how frequently can we foresee these crew members to actually use this solution?
So of course, having understand is that in today's world, it's highly unlikely to come across anyone who doesn't operate a smartphone. So even myself, or rather, we started using smartphones more than a decade ago. So of course, with COVID, digitalization of document and certification is quite commonly used. So we all know that we use our what's they call our COVID vaccination certificates is available on our mobile phones. Yeah. So if a workable solution is developed, then its usage would be high, saying that crew and vessel certifications are required to be produced on a regular basis. And with regard to an ideal solution, so as mentioned in the earlier on video, it would be ideal that the platform should be cyber secure to ensure maximum data protection and security to comply with PDPA, GDPR requirements. It should also be easily utilized by crew and vessel, as well as regulatory bodies such as flag states, classification societies, certifying authorities, port authorities, immigrations, customs, etc. It should also provide an efficient means for verification of the authenticity of the certificates. And lastly, as I think what was mentioned earlier on, is that it should have the capability of being able to be used offline. Yep.
Okay, thanks for sharing all that. So just wanted to ask, one of our startups also asked, what are the challenges that you could potentially foresee that solution providers may face? So to just give our startups a heads up on what kind of areas they might want to put more focus in. Yeah.
So concerns about the potential hacking of digital system has been raised, but we believe that this can be addressed. It might be worthwhile to utilize blockchain-powered solutions to respond to such cybersecurity concerns. Of course, another barrier that was identified by some shipping companies is the lack of a legislative framework with a worldwide scope, as every jurisdiction has its own regulation. And assuming digitalization is the future and seeing how maritime transport occurs in a global context, the benefits can only be realized when all parties can legally accept electronic documents and have the necessary approvals from the regulatory bodies to ensure the official status of the certificates.
So the next question is, we actually ask the corporates if there's any other information, any other pointers that they would like to share with all of you, to allow all of you to actually have a better understanding of the innovation opportunity and the solution that our corporates are looking for. So Shireen, would you like to take this?
Last question already. Sure. So the introduction of electronic documents is not just a question of reducing administrative burden and costs. We're also talking about additional opportunities that will arise for decision making and the synchronization of processes across the maritime supply chain network. So bring forward the necessary new standards to unleash the opportunities that digitalization provides is critical. And at the end of the day, acceptance adoption is the major barrier, without which solution usually has a limited application. So yeah, I think we're pretty much done with all the questions.
Yeah, so actually, for the startups that are listening in, we really encourage you to put forth your proposals, and you have if you get to the next stage, you have the opportunity to work with these corporates. So as you can see on the slide, there's one QR code where you can scan to submit your entries by the 8th of July. And if you'd like to find out more about this innovation opportunity or our other innovation opportunities, you can scan the QR code on the other QR code on the screen. Yeah, we also have upcoming roadshows. So this week we have an upcoming one tomorrow with BSM and Innoport, followed by another one on Thursday with BSO. So during these roadshows, it will be a little bit different from today's Ask Me Anything session. So we actually have the corporates here, and you'll be able to ask them your questions and get your answers immediately. Yeah, so also please do continue to follow us on our LinkedIn page and our newsletters to get the latest updates. So thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon, and hope you have a good day. Bye. Thanks for joining us.